Hi, I'm Manga Captor, and in today's reading vlog, I read volume 1s of series that are new to me. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, I just finished volume 1 of Medalist. I got this volume a while back on my Kindle for just 99 cents, and it's just been sitting here on this device until today, and I really enjoyed this volume. Medalist is about this young girl, Inori, that really wants to become this famous top-tier ice skater, but she doesn't really have a good support system, and she's like really severely bullied at school. I was very shocked by the amount of bullying that exists in this manga. She gets bullied at school, she gets bullied at home, and it is rough. She bumps into this retired ice skater, Tsukasa, who is dedicated to helping her. He sees himself in her. Inori is starting this ice skating journey in her life at the age of about, I think, 10 or 11, which is considered late. Most athletes that want to become like really famous ice skaters start when they're 5 years old. So Tsukasa really relates to her because Tsukasa didn't start ice skating until his 20s. And he just really champions her as she goes into this new, fun, and scary path of ice skating. There's a good amount of humor in this, but there is just a ton of emotional scenes, a ton of bullying, as I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of self-doubt, but I think it's really balanced well with the humor aspects in this manga. And I just really love Tsukasa. He is such a great character that does a phenomenal job at uplifting Inori and helping her stay focused. And I just love the dynamic between the two. It's just this really sweet mentorship. And I really enjoy all of the panels that have ice skating. I think the art is really well done at depicting the motion in figure skating. I think the character designs are also great and really fun. There are some interesting characters that have been introduced. And I can just really see the world of Medalist expanding with a bunch of new characters and subplots, and yeah, I'm just really excited to continue this series, and I feel like reading some more. I'm not sure which new volume 1 I'm going to try out, but I will update you guys about it later. So my mail was just recently delivered, and now I own volume 1 of Hirayasumi. Honestly, I don't know much about this series. All I know is that it's a slice of life manga. A lot of people have really been praising this, and a lot of people have really been amping up the release of this first volume, and honestly I got swept up in the hype and I just ordered it, and that was it. I didn't look into it, I didn't do my research. I'm hoping that I won't regret that. But since it is slice of life, and I'm a huge slice of life enthusiast, I decided to give it a try. And I'll just read you a little bit of the synopsis. It says, at 29 years old, carefree Hiroto Ikuta doesn't have a girlfriend, a full-time job, or a plan for the future, and he couldn't be happier. Hiroto's breezy attitude isn't easy for everyone to understand though. In a world filled with anxiety, confusion, and grief, Hiroto and the people who surround him are all just doing their best to figure out this thing called life. After developing an unlikely friendship with the grouchy old woman who lives in his neighborhood, Hiroto suddenly finds himself inheriting not just her house, but some rather difficult emotions as well. His 18-year-old cousin Natsumi moves in with him, but as a struggling art student, she has her own troubles to deal with and may just put Hiroto's easygoing lifestyle to the test. Wow, that actually sounds really good! Alright, I just finished reading Hirayasumi, and this was so good. I nearly cried multiple times, and it's only the first volume. This is not necessarily a sad series, but there are just a lot of really heartfelt moments. And the main character, Hiroto, or Hiro as his cousin calls him, is just one of the sweetest characters I've come across in any manga series. He just truly wants people in his life to be happy, and I think having that ability to feel happiness for others or wish happiness upon others is such a special thing. He is working like this simple job. I believe he just works at like a fish rod rental place, and Hiroto is just the attendant at this place. There are people in his life that have told him to get a better job, to take life more seriously, because he doesn't have like all of that like traditional stuff that we associate a well-rounded person to have. And as the synopsis said in this story, he inherits a house from one of his friends who was this old woman who sadly passed away, and he lives there comfortably. He doesn't really worry about much. He takes in his cousin Natsumi, and she is in a very pivotal point in her life. She's going to college for the first time, studying art. She's trying to gain confidence as her own person. She's trying to make friends, and there's just a lot of new things that she is trying to accomplish and get used to, and she kind of gets frustrated with Hiroto and how chill and calm he is in life. He seriously doesn't worry about anything. The most worried he ever is just over what he's gonna make for dinner, which I just think is so sweet. I really wish I could be in the mind of Hiroto sometimes because it just sounds so dang peaceful. I'm very glad that I picked this up, and yeah, I'm excited for whenever the future volumes come out. That wraps up my reading for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hello again, it's a new day and I just finished volume 1 of a series that is new to me, and that is Barakamon. So this is a slice of life series where our main character is this calligrapher who decides to leave the big city and go to a small rural village. That choice is not 100% his own because he kind of commits a crime, and the people in his life are like, you need to chill, you need to calm down, you need to put the brakes on. So he goes to this small rural village to focus on calligraphy, cool down a bit, and kind of soften up because he is a little bit jaded, a little bit burnt out, and he needs to kind of just learn how to have fun again. And of course, right on cue, he meets Naru, who is this young girl that is full of life, full of energy, and constantly wants to play with him. And this interrupts his work, interrupts his flow, but he kind of slowly learns to just go with it. He meets other kids in the village that are also sweethearts, and slowly but surely he builds this community. And it's such a sweet thing to see. So I was really enjoying this, and somewhere around the middle there was this really poor taste joke. And it was just like this innuendo joke that was like a big misunderstanding, and it was kind of like overdone, and the worst part was just that they brought children into it, and it was just a really suggestive innuendo joke, and I just hated it. But I persevered, I kept going, and I'm glad I did because there was a point where I really resonated with our main character. He really wants to be good at calligraphy, but he feels like he is just not there, and he doesn't know how to get there, to get to success. And there's a point where he's like, what if I just quit? If I just quit, then I won't have this struggle anymore. I'll be more relaxed. I won't have to worry about outdoing myself over and over again. And for a moment, I felt that. I really felt that. I thought about my own pursuits and the things that I want to do, and I thought about how, like, yeah, it kind of would be easier if I just quit. But of course, that's not what happens. He has some really sweet interactions with the people there in the village, and those conversations just really uplift him, and I also felt uplifted through that. So I'm really enjoying this manga, and I'm definitely going to continue it. And yeah, that's all I have to say about this series, and I'll see you in the next clip. Hello again, it's been a little bit. I've been only vlogging bits and pieces over the past few days, and I allowed myself to take a little bit of a break from filming this vlog proactively because I got injured recently, and maybe you saw this little bandage on my pinky in some previous clips. And I know that this looks very, like, not serious, but it is pretty serious. I got a pretty bad injury, and I wanted to talk about it for a little bit. I will not be going into any gory specifics, and I will not be showing any photos with blood in them. But if you don't want to hear about this injury on my finger, that's okay. You can just skip to the timestamp shown here, and yeah, that's fine. Okay, so story time. I got injured 2 days ago. I was cutting vegetables, and the knife I was using was very sharp, and I sliced the tip of my pinky. It's still connected. Thankfully, I didn't lose the tip of my pinky, but it was pretty bad. I needed to go to the ER. I went, and you know, bless those people. Like, I am so happy that there are doctors out there and nurses that are helpful. The nurse that I had initially wasn't the nicest nurse, unfortunately. I really think that bedside manner is so important, and this nurse didn't really help me in that because she saw my wound and just said, "Oh, you sliced the top of your pinky off." And I was just like, "Miss Ma'am, please do not say that." And that was just, you know, hyperbolic. I didn't actually do that. It was still connected, but that did not help. But anyways, she exits, and then another nurse comes in who also didn't have great bedside manner. She was there to just document, I guess, photos of my injury. So she exposed my injury and was hovering over it with this huge iPad and she was like fumbling with it, and her hands were shaky. I could tell that my wound grossed her out. And she was just really struggling to take these photos with this huge iPad, and I was just so worried she was gonna drop the iPad on my finger, but she didn't, thankfully, and then she left. So at this point I was pretty nervous because I just had two nurses that didn't really give me any relief. They made me feel like it was really, really bad. But then the doctor came in, and the doctor was a sweetheart, looked at my wound, and immediately was like, "Oh, like, this is okay. It's not that bad." And when I tell you that my heart rate returned to normal when he said that, wow, I was so relieved. And so he just was cleaning up my wound and told me that he was going to get some skin glue to put it back together. I looked the other way and just told myself that I was getting an expensive manicure, and that was that. At this point, I think I'm just sad that I hurt my finger because I'm not gonna show you, don't worry, but it is, trust me, it is pretty bad. I just don't like seeing my finger like that. It makes me sad. So that's the stage of grief that I'm in. First was denial, and then like all those other things, whatever, and now I'm at sadness. But anyways, that's it. That's the story of my pinky. Thank you so much for letting me vent about that. I feel like I really needed to. And with that aside, let's go ahead and talk about the newest volume 1 that I've read, and that is volume 1 of Requiem of the Rose King. Requiem of the Rose King is by Ayakano, the same mangaka that gave us Otomen, and Requiem of the Rose King is inspired by Henry VI and Richard III by William Shakespeare. Now, I've never read the original work that this is inspired by, so I went into this completely blind. The main reason why I wanted to really read this was because it features an intersex character, and that is Richard, our protagonist here in all black. He was born intersex and he identifies as a boy, but there are people in his life that call him a monster, a demon child, a devil, everything under the sun that is negative just because his body doesn't seem to match what they associate a boy's body to look like, which automatically made me care so much for Richard, and I'm like, Richard is my son, and don't ever speak to my son again. That is how I felt because I relate to Richard so much. I myself am non-binary and I've had lots of people be rude to me. The way I look, my body, all of those things, people take that information and just assume something else about me and don't respect how I identify, don't respect who I say I am. And Richard knows who he is too. Richard is fed up, he's been bullied for his body, something that is out of his control, and I just feel so much for him. This series is pretty dark and grim, and it's very different from Ayakano's other works such as Otomen. I find it interesting that Otomen is also kind of about gender, and I think it's a topic that she likes to write about, and I'm here for it. I love whenever manga or books explore the world of gender because it is so vast and it is so fabulous, and I love it. But yeah, so the story of Requiem of the Rose King is pretty simple. There is a war that rages on between two houses, and young Richard wants his family to ascend to the throne. So we follow Richard and his family as they fight for the throne, and we also follow Richard as he tries to stand up for himself against all of the bullying against his body. He is seen as a monster and a demon child, and he is really just trying to push back against that and prove himself to be more capable and strong, and he is upset that he isn't viewed as his brothers who are cis men. He just really wants to be respected in the same way and prove his strength, and we follow that struggle. I love Ayakano so much and I just want to read as many of her works as possible, so I'm glad that I started this one. Hello again, it's a new day and I just finished reading the first volume of a series that is new to me, and that was volume 1 of A Man and His Cat. Now, some important backstory information on how I'm doing. I am not doing well right now. I am not happy right now. I am very, very upset and very filled with rage. I'm actually very sad right now, and I'm the kind of person that when I'm sad, I get angry. I don't know, it's a weird thing. So, that being explained, I thought I could read this first volume and get a little bit of joy back into my life, get a little bit of equilibrium, maybe a little bit of tranquility, you know, put into my day. But this series, don't get me wrong, it's a cute slice of life series involving a man and his cat, but it is also very sad. There are some moments that just made me tear up like a broken fire hydrant. I don't know. This story focuses on our main character who is living alone. Their wife passed away, so now they are a pretty lonely person and they decide to adopt a cat. They do not realize that the cat that they adopted was also very, very lonely. This cat has been at that shelter for almost a year, and people kept passing him up even though he was put on discount all the time, and that is truly just because of his age. He was no longer a kitten and people just passed him by, and that is a sad reality. Lots of cats, lots of adult cats live a good chunk of their lives in these cages because people prefer a kitten for their family. Why? I don't know. These two characters, they start to live together, the cat and this man. And I love this so much because the cat has like thoughts and you can read about their thoughts. They kind of like talk to themselves. So they are very aware of what's going on. They understand what people tell them. You know, cats are smart. They know what you are saying. They kind of get the gist of what you're telling them, but they decide when they want to listen and when they don't want to listen. And the way that the cat just brightens up this man's life is amazing. This man's life has just become more beautiful because he now lives with this cat and shares his life with this cat. And you know, sometimes, like I said, this series or this volume does get very sad because we take a look into the past the past of the cat and the man separately, and we see some of the things that they went through and how that really affected them. But now they found each other. Now these two living beings that were once lonely are now not lonely and have each other, and it is so sweet, and I am fighting back tears. I love this. I love it so much. It's definitely not the most lighthearted cat manga. If you're looking for a cat manga that is just happy, silly, funny, goofy, great, not a tearjerker, then I would recommend Cat Gamer, because that is just purely fun moments living with a cat. That's all it is, a compilation of fun, giddy moments and how your life is so much better with a cat in it. So yeah, I am done rambling. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a like, and if you want to watch more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. It really helps my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!